Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, is my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, Bailey?
I'm great, James. Hope you are. And tonight we have a very special guest on the podcast, Clemson punter Aidan Swanson. Aidan, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How are y'all?
Well, we're great, and because we have these special guests, but you're the first current former player.
Cool.
Not former player, guest on the show. We've
Yes,
had
right.
former players. You're the first current Clemson Tiger. One of, we hope, many.
That's
So,
correct.
all right. So, just a little bit about Aidan before we get all the way into this, James. Aidan, and you correct me if I'm wrong. You're from the Tampa, Florida area.
Yes, sir. Yeah, born and raised in Tampa. Lived there all my life.
Cool. Well, and your mother went to Clemson. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's nice. When did she graduate? I don't think you're supposed to ask that kind of stuff, but we're old, so we want to know.
I want to say like 82, 86, somewhere around there.
Okay, no problem.
Awesome.
Well, I know she's a big Clemson fan. I know she's proud of you.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Very nice.
James.
Well, Aidan is also our first guest since we've switched to video. I call this a podcast. Is it even a podcast anymore, or is it a vodcast?
I don't know, but Aidan also has his own podcast called the Specialist Experience.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
Very nice.
Your partner, I was listening to one today where he said Josh Purdy for the Niners was playing pretty well this year. So
I like
you guys would fit right in with this podcast.
Yeah. The more silliness, the better.
Yeah.
But definitely a lot of firsts going on, and there's going to be plenty of more firsts to come from some news we've heard about the podcast and our new podcast network that we are a proud part of, which is the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find all of your various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and all over Twitter and Facebook. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans. Just when you couldn't think it's any cooler, the Fanboys Fangirls, along with Winning Edge Sports Network, are supporters of Homes for Troops. So you can go to thefanboys.com, scroll to the bottom, and see how you can help us help build homes and rebuild lives for our troops. All right, you got to love that. What else do we love? Reuben's.
We love Reuben's, baby.
Reuben's. Food, sports, spirits, and catering. The best wings around, with 2 locations in the upstate, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont. Aidan, only a short 25 minute or so drive from Clemson. Find them at RubensC.com. Reuben's is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans. After church today, my preacher catches me on the way out the door and says, "Hey, I tried Reuben's, and he said the taco wings." I don't remember seeing that. He was like, maybe it was a Tex-Mex thing, but it was kind of rub. And he said it was great. So there you go. Spoken from
good thing I just ate.
Straight from the church's mouth, right? It's the holy wings. All right. Anyway, cool. So we have Aidan Swanson here, left-footed punter, according to my notes.
How many left-footed punters are there in the United States, Aidan? Do you know by chance?
No, I do not. But
okay,
it's
you're the coolest.
It's very rare in the NFL for sure. There's only a few.
Yeah, but you had a career long this year at Notre Dame, 67 yards. I remember that well. 42.3 yards per punt this year, and you're listed as a redshirt junior, but you have already completed your degree, correct?
Yes, sir. So I'm going into my 5th year of playing football. Just graduated in December, and now I'm working on my MBA. I got those classes in Greenville this semester.
That's awesome. So coming out of high school, you were the number 3 punter in the country by some publications, number 4 by others, out of IMG Academy. How did you end up at Clemson? Like, what was the reason you signed with Clemson and decided to play football at Clemson?
Well, as you mentioned earlier, and I mentioned earlier, that my mom went to Clemson. So growing up, always a Clemson fan. My dad went to Florida, so Clemson to Florida. Growing up, schools I wanted to go to, and Clemson just worked out. There's no doubt in my mind that I wanted to come here. Once I had the opportunity to, it was a done deal right from there.
Cool. What I'm going to ask that first question later, James. I'm going to ask what's the best thing about Clemson football to you, Aidan? I mean, like what makes it attractive to people that are being recruited and potential future Clemson Tigers?
One thing I'd say that separates Clemson from all the others is the culture. Coach Winnie treats it just like a family. He makes everyone feel like a family. Everyone's together, very included. Also, I'd say it's more than just football with the program. We have Paul Journey, and I'm an ambassador for Paul Journey, and Paul Journey motto is creating first-class men, world-class leaders. And so it's for Clemson football, it's more just football. It's about life after football. And then, of course, with us playing football, it's about developing us, preparing us for life, helping us with job opportunities, growing spiritually, all that stuff. So that's what makes Clemson.
Yeah, and you know what? We talk to a lot of folks, and you hear a lot of things on television. That's what everybody says, and we love Clemson. It's going to be harder to find two guys that love Clemson more than we do. We just have a great time every time we go over there. I was over there last night at the basketball game, and it really is. There's something special about those hills, James.
Right.
And James wants to ask you, which opponent has like the best locker room, the nicest visitors locker room? How about the nicest fans, which that may be hard to find?
Well, that the question starts out as which opponent in your experience has been the best host. So the locker room, the fans, the whatever else, if they do anything for the opposing team besides, play loud heavy metal music so you can't hear each other talk or something.
Yeah, so I'll give you a rundown. Worst locker room that comes into my mind is definitely Wake Forest.
I'm sorry, was that worst or best? I missed that.
Worst.
Oh,
I mean, it's nice, but it's really, really small.
Oh.
So everyone's just jam packed in there. It's never fun to go there. Notre Dame's locker room's really nice. Visitor locker room. I wouldn't say that the best fans.
I probably wouldn't either.
Let's see.
If you ask them, they're the best fans.
Right.
I think really when it comes to locker rooms, it's about how much space
you
have because we travel a lot of guys.
Right.
So we went to BC this year. They have a pretty spread out locker room. It's nice. Not the best, luxuries, I guess, but pretty spacious. So
no amenities.
It's all about space, not making it jam packed in there.
I mean, they have like vanity mirrors or anything, any snacks, hospitality table, nothing.
Yeah, they have training room in there for us and equipment room. So,
gotcha.
And then if a school doesn't have that, we'll make it happen. So, you said best fans.
Sure.
Well, I mean, the most respectful fans. I mean,
right.
We're not gonna. We don't ever. I mean, the team buses for the other team do come right by
the tailgate,
and it really depends on how they react to us, and that determines how we react to them. Miami, not so nice. Okay, just gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, the Gamecocks. Let's just say
they were ugly too.
The birds were coming from inside the bus.
Right.
Thinking about it, I don't really have hear anyone talking at the FSU game. Probably because the sideline's so far away from the stands. I think that plays a factor for sure. And then also you don't listen to them if they start chirping.
Right. Well, like I told you earlier today, we're both former coaches, and I'm an athletic director, so we certainly, people are a lot closer to us when we're down there, but or when we used to be down there. I'll agree with Wake Forest. I was at the Wake Forest game this year, and the whole stadium's just tight. Like the field, the wall is right beside the field. Like there's the there's not a lot of room interior of the stadium or exterior really. So I can imagine the locker room's pretty tight. All right. So our next question is, what did it feel like the first time you ran down the hill at Death Valley? Like, what's that feeling like?
First thing I was telling myself is don't fall.
All right.
Yeah.
I know a lot of guys will, once they get to the summit and you have that jump,
Right.
like go 10 feet in the air, like they'll do some crazy pose, but I'm not trying to look like a fool out there, so I just take it nice and easy.
Yeah, I would be scared. I'm always worried one of them's going to get hurt. I remember years ago when I first started teaching and coaching, I coached at a school in Greenville, and I won't call the name, but we had a hill on the end of our stadium, and our coach played at Clemson back in the 60s, the head coach. So we were going to all run down the hill. That was the new thing we were going to do. Well, the first game of the year, the starting center comes down the hill, and when he gets to the bottom, he breaks his ankle, and he's out for the year. And we ran like the wing tee, so he was making all these line calls and all this stuff, and that was like, that kind of set the tone for our season in the wrong way. So just be careful on the hill, man.
Be careful, Aidan.
All right, James, you have the last question. It's always our last question for our guests.
Yeah. So, and we can kind of mix this up a little bit because we've seen you play. I don't know that we've missed a snap, and I haven't seen Aidan do this. So I'm not going to ask if he's ever done it. Maybe he did it. But can you do the gritty?
No.
Oh.
No, he didn't attempt it.
No shot.
No.
I mean, like when you hit that record-setting punt, I mean, any kind of celebration dance, any booyah, I mean, anything?
No, I'm not really a rah-rah guy per se. I'll definitely get excited. Maybe, I don't know, do a let's go, like something like that. But
there you go.
It seems very look, man. I was friends with one of the long snappers. He was actually from my hometown back, and he was a little bit younger than me. But the pressure, it's just like, okay, we have punters and we have snappers and we have holders, and it's pretty important every time you guys go out there. So we think you do a great job because the pressure has to be tremendous. And we will tell you next year where we sit. So you can, like, if you boom a punt and it goes inside the 5-yard line and rolls out of bounds, you can point at us. That's okay. We'll allow that. Yeah. So
that's for the fun fans. Hey,
that's it.
And maybe I'll do the gritty. You kick another 60-yarder. Okay, pin somebody inside the 5 on the west end zone. We'll make a deal right now. Pin somebody inside the 5. And Bailey shaking his head. And because we talked about the fans and where they can hear you. The opposing team can hear me. So
yeah, he's really good at that.
Can be pretty good. So here we go. Aidan Swanson pins an opponent inside the 5, section I. I'm doing the gritty. Tell the camera guy. Well, the camera guy's in section I anyway, most of the time.
Just because that little kid was in there.
Yeah.
He's also been a guest on our podcast, the one that was doing the gritty all over the Jumbotron.
Yeah, it stole the show.
Yeah. He'll agree with you.
Yeah, and that's correct. And he got us the most downloads. So Aidan, he got you work cut out for you. So, all right. So no gritty out of Aidan. All right. Well, anyway, Aidan's going to stay on with us while we go through our normal. Well, there's nothing normal about this episode. First of all, we've already talked about a lot of new stuff. If you haven't noticed the ticker across the bottom, pay attention to the ticker across the bottom. We got our little logo in the screen. Listen, I'm learning. We are learning some stuff, but we learned a little bit about Clemson basketball. And by we, I mean Bailey, because you were at the game last night. B, tell us about that.
Yeah, it was, we went over, and I've got some tickets here for a couple of the games at the end of the year. And, one of my former players actually plays for Virginia Tech. He played at Clover in the 8th and 9th grade, and he actually played well last night for Virginia Tech. So got to see him play. I've known Mike Young, the coach at Virginia Tech, for a long time. So felt his pain when Hunter Tyson made a 3 with about 9 seconds to go to put the Tigers on top. It was a very defensive game.
Yes.
And as a guy who had a team win a state championship at giving up 41 points a game, I loved it. But both teams were very, very solid defensively. Clemson's still playing without Chase Hunter. He's over there in a boot. Don't know how long he's going to be out, but his little brother Dylan, which I think is really cool, played backup point guard and got in there for Beetle last night, and he really played. He played outstanding for a young guy that just doesn't have a lot of minutes. And the Tigers are 16-4, 8-1 in the ACC, and play Georgia Tech at home Tuesday night at 9 p.m. But more importantly, the coolest thing I saw at the game last night, James. Have you ever seen the putting contest they do? Aidan, you ever seen it?
Yeah, I saw the guy. The guy got it last night, and then
So you putt, and I play a lot of golf. You putt from one end of the court, 94 feet, to the other. I've probably seen that done maybe 5 times. I've never seen anyone hit the plywood. Okay, so it's like 4x8 piece of plywood with a hole in it at the bottom. I've never seen anybody hit it. And the ball still didn't hit it last night. It was center cut right in the hole from 94 feet. He's 10 grand richer today.
10 grand.
Yeah, well, I mean, nice putt.
Only other time I have seen that is when J-Do posted it on his social media when he was working one of the games. And speaking of J-Do, friend of ours, MC, entertainer, entrepreneur, he works pep rallies, corporate events, game shows, fundraisers, galas, etc. Just put that man on the mic and let him liven up the party. Not only is J-Do a friend of mine, I've seen him work, and you and your organization will not be disappointed anytime you add J-Do to your function. You can find him at It's J-Do and on all forms of social media at It's J-Do. So
Aidan, do you go to any basketball games or anything?
I'm not, but I make sure to watch the big games, see how they're doing.
Well, it sold out last night, so it was. I mean,
it seemed like
atmosphere.
I watched the majority of it. Definitely watched the end of it. Exciting game, but like you say, it was exciting from a defensive standpoint because it was so close.
It was hard to score.
Was going to ask Aidan if I know you guys, the football team, basically y'all work pretty much year round, I'm sure. But get to be a fan. Hey, enjoy as much as Dabo will let you. Clemson basketball. I mean, right now, historically, and we're that old where I can say the word historically to be where they are right now. I don't know how many we've won. Clemson has won the regular season back when, like, right after we were there in the 90s or something, right, Bailey? And that's pretty much it.
Ellis had a team I think in 90 that was really good. Eldon Campbell, Dale Davis, that group.
Right before we got there.
Yeah, like right before when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And I'll say this. So we've got Hemingway and Hunter have been out, and what that's doing is gaining some valuable ACC experience for other guys. Okay, so like a Dylan Hunter, a Josh Beadle, a Wiggins, those are guys that may not be getting the same minutes if those guys were healthy, but it's great, man. It's awesome, and I love, like I said, I've seen every minute of every game, whether Katie's cheering or not. I'm watching or going. So it was cool, and it was a hard game to get into because it was such a tough battle, hard to score.
It was tough. Aidan, we normally ask, we didn't think to ask about, your fan experience from a football standpoint. Obviously, that's difficult being a player. And like you said, you grew up as a Clemson fan. Do you think you get the opportunity to enjoy college football during the season at all? Or are you guys just crazy busy and it's like it's just happening around you?
It's tough to watch other games. I know when we had the ACC championship, that game was at night. So you had a couple games on during the day. So when we have free time for a couple hours, we just turn those games on. It really just depends on what time our game is and in relation to the other game. So might have a noon game or a 3:30. We can definitely watch like a 8 p.m. game. So if the game's interesting to me, if it's, two solid teams going at it, I'll definitely tune in.
Just one of the many sacrifices.
So, Aidan, you have your own, like we mentioned, you have your own podcast. Now's your time to shamelessly plug your podcast on our podcast.
Yeah. So, Josh McCoy, we met at IMG my junior year of high school. We were actually roommates down there So we've always had this idea of having a podcast, and with me and my schedule, it's difficult to get it down and have time to do it. But yeah, we are on Spotify. It is called The Specialist Experience. And then on Instagram, you can follow us at _specialist_experience. And then on Twitter, it is at specialist PDCST. And we mostly talk about college football, but not a whole lot going on right now. So we're mainly focusing on NFL games and topics to talk about.
Yeah, did you watch the Bills game today in the snow?
I did, yeah.
I guess I should call it the Bengals game.
Right.
Yeah, one of my coworkers is a huge Bengals fan, so get to hear that tomorrow. And my son is a Dolphins fan. I'm sorry, James. My son's a Miami Dolphins fan, so he hates the Bills. He's happy.
I'm a weird NFL fan. I like a lot of teams, and some of the teams are the Giants and the Eagles. I like both teams. I'm not like a fan of either one, but I like both teams. I'm like, I just watch them play. And of course, the Eagles kind of said, watch us play. Yeah. But anyway, Aidan mentioned we will get your information, those links and etc. Aidan will post that when we post this podcast, and we can share each other's posts and Twitters and all that kind of stuff. So we'll make sure it gets out there. So because we appreciate you being on, taking your time to do this. And I got one more story. So if anybody, all of our fun fans have listened, they've heard us talk about what is a gala. We read that in J-Dew's spot and we wonder what a gala is. Well, Bailey, I had a Facebook friend who posted pictures of her and her husband at a gala recently.
Yeah. So earlier in the year when we were reading the J-Dew ad, we couldn't determine what's the difference between a really nice party or a gala or I don't know.
Didn't we ask? We had J-Dew on
that, James?
I don't know. I mean, that's what we asked J-Dew. He didn't really. It's like a fancy party. You got to feed people. Maybe I don't know what the requirements are. So it's ironically the person that was there, the friend that was there was Hannah, whose family owns Diamond Etch Products.
Shameless. I see how you did that.
Yeah, you like that?
Yep.
Diamond Etch Product, another product display. This was last week I had a tumbler, so a water bottle that says Mr. Dillard. Look at that, custom.
Can we get one sent to Aidan?
Possibly. I'll look into that. But these guys have mastered a diamond and laser engraving process, and they can put almost any design on items such as license plates, yard signs, tumblers, water bottles, and more for a high quality, forever lasting, custom engraved product. Check out Diamond Etched Products at diamondetchedproducts.com. For inquiries and or orders, email Jalen at diamondetchedproducts.com. That's JAYLIN at diamondetchedproducts.com. So we might get Hannah on here to tell us, she might be a guest on the podcast.
Yeah, that'd be fun. I'm curious.
Yeah, shamelessly plug Diamond Etched Products again. And maybe she can tell us what a gala is. So
have you met the new offensive coordinator yet?
That's a good question.
Yeah, we had a team meeting a few weeks back, and he introduced him to us. Seems like a really good guy. I'm excited to see what he brings to the table for the offense.
Well, if you ever watch us or listen to us again, you will find out that we don't bash coaches. We're not Clemson football coaches. We're just fans. We don't hate on the players. I don't like that negative stuff. We don't do that stuff, and James doesn't like it either. And we support the Tigers. And hey, I hope we score 80 points a game. And Aidan, I'm sorry, you're the punter. I hope we don't have to use you very often.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but when we do, you kick it 50 plus yards.
That's right, and I'll do the gritty.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
I can't even do it.
Awesome. All right. So thanks again for checking us out. Don't forget to subscribe on this YouTube channel. Click and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and share the podcast with all your friends. We're going to continue to bring you cool stories with great guests such as Aidan and others throughout the off season. It is definitely things you do not want to miss. Check out the ticker. That's a gift from the fun fans. If you are into fantasy sports league, You can double your money with our promo code that's ticking across the bottom. I had to wait on it. Tiger Pride. It's new stuff. I had to wait on it. I forgot what it was. So that's a gift from us to our listeners that are interested in that. You can double your money up to $100 on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, J Thrilla Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, Bailey Jackson, and today, Aidan Swanson.
And that's at a.swanson39 on Instagram. Am I right, Aidan?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Everybody check it out. Hey, don't forget, subscribe, like, share, etc. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.